Welcome to the Carl Nelson Show
on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL radio and live around the world on WOLDCnews.com.
And thank you for joining us, folks. Later, Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. will be here. He'll reflect on the 50th anniversary of the founding of the Black Panther Party. Chairman Fred will also talk about the ongoing shootings in Chicago. And, you know, they're saying that at this time, right now, more than 1,000 people have been shot in Chicago this time compared to last year. So he's going to address that as well. And also, the reports of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and those other social media outlets that you use are now working with law enforcement agencies to help keep tab on activists. So you got to be careful what you post if you consider yourself an activist, because, well, most of you who are considered activists, you probably know that as well. Before we get to Fred, though, Dick Gregory is supposed to be calling us. He's somewhere on a train between D.C. and New York, on his way to D.C., so we'll hear from him. But I want to get your thoughts before we get really started as well, right here on WOL. I want your thoughts about Donald Trump's new maneuver to blame the media. Do you think that's going to work? Do you think people are really buying into it? Because he seems like, you know, he's shifted the focus of him being accused of molesting young women, to the fact that the media and that not the debate was coming up on Wednesday, but the election is going to be rigged. He says it's going to be rigged, and they say 40%. That's a lot of people. 40% of the people think it's going to be rigged. Dick Gregory, welcome back to WOL Radio.
God bless you and family and all the listeners and everything.
And happy birthday before we get started.
Yes. It is another birthday. What a blessing.
It is. You've ticked off 84 years. That is a blessing for any black man, period.
Yeah, but I don't know that. It's the craziest birthday year I ever saw. I never saw white folk go this crazy. I'm just watching it and enjoying it.
Well, I know you enjoying this presidential race, and I was right before you came on, I was telling the audience how Trump has successfully managed to shift the focus from the fact that he's accused of fondling women to the fact that he thinks that the outcome of the election is going to be rigged.
Yeah, well, if they always have been rigged. When I ran for president in 1965, they had to shut all the stuff down because the tabulation was giving me 29 million votes out of Pennsylvania. And anybody living in America and think this is not rigged, it's crazy. I mean, you see it, you look at it, you see what is going on 24 hours a day. I mean, can you really think you in your right mind and believe here's a man can start off 9 months ago and wipe everybody out and think that's legitimate? It's not. Say the things he said, nothing happens. He don't have to file his income tax. So if me and you applied for a job collecting garbage, okay, the first thing we got to do is bring out last year's tax return. You know, and the interesting thing, I'm laughing at the people, not him. Anybody can be a fool and be crazy, but to do what they do, and we going along with it. And I mean, can come back. All the folks is asking me about black men being shot. And here, all they want to know about is Trump. I don't believe it. I just absolutely believe, and I'm sure that Hitler and the Nazis was doing the same thing. You know? And no, when they caught up with it, it was too late. You know, we talk all this stuff here, and the news media is just as bad. They're not asking no questions at all.
But well, let me ask you this, Greg, because you've been around a bit, so you've seen a lot of these presidential races. Is this the craziest one?
No, it's the craziest one that the people, not the people that's running, the American people. You know, let me show you something, Carl. You saw all that mess last week. 24 hours. Every time you show you, it's talking about what Trump did on the airplane, right? To the woman.
Right.
Okay? All right, now watch this. Is your wife or your daughter got on a plane going to California or Chicago, and they have an economy seat, and somebody takes them from economy to first class, okay, and sit them next to Donald Trump. And he followed them. Call. Let me tell you how stupid and crazy we are. They haven't told us what airline it was. And call, you got a lawsuit. Somebody on that plane is responsible. How you get from a economy ticket to a first class ticket and the airline's not blamed? That woman didn't just get up and walk up there, so is she crazy? Is there something wrong with her? Or is this big as we think it is? I'm going to say this again. I'm on planes every day. And if an airplane you're a woman, take you from cheap seats and you haven't heard the news people talk about, well, who pays for the ticket? Okay, that's very important. Did he send for her? Okay, is this something? But how stupid can we be, Carl? Everybody will sue at the drop of the hat. And you tell me the airline is not responsible from taking you from one seat in economy and putting you in first class, and a man put his hand under your dress? Or is the guy and the person on the plane that made that, are they working together? The press haven't asked. The press haven't asked at all. Okay? And I don't even want to talk about it past that, because then you start boarding on stupid. Here's an airplane, the number one way of travel in the world, and you're not protected. You got your economy seat. Now, what would have happened had they moved her from first class to economy? Huh? There wouldn't have been no complaint. So I'm saying for us to even sit and discuss this, makes us stupid. I mean, how many times have you heard of somebody getting on a plane and they move you from economy to first class and nothing happened? I mean, if your sister or your brother worked there, I might could understand that, huh? But you talking about you got on the plane, you sitting in economy, and somebody moved you from economy to first class, and don't want to know how did that happen? Nobody sits there, no lawyers is coming and say, wait a minute, man. Forget Trump for a minute. We got a suit against the airline. And so I don't know, and that's how they get by with it, man, is they do anything they want to do. The richest Republicans, the richest is the Ford family, the Rockefeller family, the DuPont family. You know darn good and well, Carl, them rich white people won't let that chump do what he's doing. Without their okay, they'd blow his brains out just like they did Kennedy, okay? So when I sit and listen to the talk, I listen to it almost like a comedy show. Not him. You expect anybody to rob somebody, but you listen to the reaction of the robber and you say something is not right. That's all. Point blank.
Let me ask you this, because Craig Hewlett is saying that it's all theater. It's all it's all a game. They're both playing us. That Trump wants Hillary to win. Do you read it like that?
No, I've been knowing about all of that crap, man. I mean, I'm surprised that the American people don't know, huh? Then that's what the lesser, I listen to all this people talking about voting for the lesser, the two evil, and black folks are scared of what? You ain't had nothing. But when the Democrats control the Senate and the Congress and the presidency, ain't nobody talking about how come they didn't do nothing. What's that about? Huh? So now we said, and people running around scared, black folks scared of what? Huh? What are you scared of? You part of this filthy system. You send your children to war to kill people, and then they come back. World War II called when the German Nazis was being brought back to America to the POW camps, which was in the South. The black MPs and the white MPs, huh? When they stopped them trains in the South to eat on their way to the camp, the German Nazis could get off and go into the restaurant and eat like they were human beings, And the black folks that was guarding them with the rifle, they couldn't. So don't jump up now and act like everything was all right, and then all at once it stopped being all right. What is this about? Huh? And so I'm just sitting here. Look, I'd be great who would tell me this here. Me and Kathy Hughes was talking 8 years before Obama become president. We knew back then he was going to be president. Okay? All right?
Go ahead. Miss Hughes is going to join us later, hopefully. Greg, you still with us? He's traveling. He just dropped the line. Okay, he's traveling with on the train actually from New York back to D.C. 800-450-7876. You got a question for Dick Gregory? Call us up and let's hear your question. Reminding you that Chairman Fred is going to join us later on. That's Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. The 50th anniversary of the founding of the Black Panther Party, and Dick Gregory was in the movie The Panther as well. This is another connection there. But Fred's going to talk about the ongoing shootings in Chicago, just totally out of control. Right now, more than 1,000 people have been shot in Chicago, and this is at the same time this year already they're on a pace to, well, they're already breaking the record as far as this weekend is concerned, because more than 1,000 people have been shot so far, and we've still got a couple of months to go before the end of the year. He's going to talk about that, what's behind all those shootings, and also the fact that Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and those other social media outlets, they're working with law enforcement folks. So if you consider yourself an activist, they're making note of what you're posting. Anyway, let's check the traffic and weather. Hopefully we'll hook up with Greg next on 1450 WOL, where information is power.
And now back to the Carl Nelson Show
on Washington, D.C.'s 1450.
1450 WOL Radio.
And thanks for rolling with us, folks. 800-450-7876. As I mentioned, we're speaking with Dick Gregory. We sort of lost him. He's on the train, actually, riding back to D.C. from New York. We want to hear from you. Do you agree with what he said? Do you think this is all a sham? Do you think we're being played? What are your thoughts? Again, 800-450-7876. Let's go to Charles in D.C. Charles, you think we're being played by Clinton and Trump?
There's no question in my mind, Carl, that we are. I mean, if you look at what WikiLeaks has done, if you look at all of the intel that's come out on her, we know that the Clintons are very bad people. Bobby Dick Gregory has been telling us this for years, and I'm just surprised that no one in the media has invoked Ron Brown. I'm finding that very curious. And then Trump has a lot of issues. He has a lot of problems. But if you get Greg back, Carl, ask him.
Let me ask you this then, before you go, Charles. Why do you think Trump's doing it? Supposedly he has all the money he needs. Why is he doing it? What's in it for him?
Well, I think it's a matter of legacy building for him. He has two sons, I think, and two daughters. This might be an issue of legacy building. And if you look at the way he structured his real estate transactions to license in his name, there might be a liquidity crisis within the Trump organization. Nobody really knows. You know what I mean? So
you're saying it's an ego trip? It's
an ego trip and legacy building, laying the foundation for the next generation. And if you look at the Kennedy and the Bushes, that's something that that they've been known to do.
But he's losing money doing this. His hotel in D.C., the one out in Pennsylvania Avenue, it's not it's setting the world on fire. They say it's losing money. And to get a hotel in D.C. with all the conventions in the district that happen around Washington D.C., most of the hotels are already sold out. But they haven't been sold out.
You raise a great point. But if you have a number of businesses and half of your businesses are making profit and the other half of your businesses are taking losses, at the end of the day, it's probably going to balance out. So I'm not necessarily worried about Trump's bottom line. I think that, we as a people, Carl, we have a unique opportunity. What we could do as a people is we could say we're going to withhold our vote and punish the Democratic Party for their 65 years of failure within our community. And we got to punish the mayors and the city councils all over America. If you look at...
All right, hold that thought right there, Charles, because I've heard that before. Yeah. What if we hold our vote and Trump wins?
Then so be it. We punish the hell out of the Democrats. They lose power, and they'll never be in a position to take our vote for granted. So we just got to do what we got to do. We already know that we're going to get more failure and decay if Hillary gets in office. And Obama says, Carl, well, let's carry on my legacy. What legacy, Mr. Obama? You have played the people who put you in office. We voted for him to the tune of 90% plus. And look at what he did in Chicago. And I respect and love Mrs. Obama, and I understand that she had some tears last week. But what about in the past 8 years, you had 3,000 people die in Chicago? Where were the tears then? I think that's a very valid question to ask.
You know what? And Charles, I agree. And I'm going to see if anybody else agrees with what you just said. Charles, I thank you for your call. Interesting. Charles says, yeah, let's really give it to the Democrats this time around because they haven't done anything for us. So what are your thoughts, folks? Do you agree with that? 800-450-7876. Hopefully we'll get Greg back. He gets in a good spot to call us back. Let's go to Terry right now. Terry's calling from Ohio. It's on line 1. Terry, your thoughts?
Yeah, Carl. I actually disagree with the caller before you. And the reason I disagree, it ain't Trump that you need to worry about. It's the people that's surrounding him you got to worry about. See, I live in Ohio, but I'm from Alabama. And he's hanging out with Jeff Sessions, Mike Pence, those guys, man. I mean, that's not the direction. We're not going to benefit either way, but you definitely don't want them old boys running anything. I think the reason he's running, I've listened to several broadcasts with Craig, and I've done my own research. Actually, you can go to Daily Mail. They got a great article about Trump's mafia ties. I don't think he's as rich as he claims. I think he has some money issues. And most presidents, even though they get maybe $400,000 a year as the president, they get paid when they get out of office. That's when they get on those boards of Goldman Sachs, different banks, and stuff like that. So there's definitely an end game. Because think about it. I mean, you got all other kind of billionaires in the world. I mean, like he could say, well, Hillary hasn't done nothing in 30 years. She's been in office for 30 years. She hasn't done nothing. Well, how many checks did he send to the black community with all his businesses? He ain't done nothing.
Oh, well, hang on a second. Let me interject here for a second, Terry, because here's one of the things he said. He was going to spend $100 million. He hasn't spent close to that yet, but he doesn't have to because he thinks he's smart. When he comes out and makes these statements, they put him on TV. They put him on the news. So why should he buy television advertising? He's bought some, but not a lot.
Right. Oh, yeah. He's definitely getting a lot of press.
You disagree with Charles. Charles says that we should vote for the Democrats and punish the Democrats and just deal with Trump. You think that's a bad idea?
I think it's a bad idea. I know either way we're going to get played. My hope isn't in either one. But to me, I'm looking at the people who's guiding him. Giuliani. Do you really think these folks have your best interest in mind? I mean, they're going to send you back to the watermelon patch. I mean, so I just think either way we're screwed, but definitely I think we're going to be more screwed if they get back in there. So hopefully he's done enough damage because he's going now. He's attacking Paul Ryan. He's attacking other people. Literally, I think he's going to be the death of the GOP, I think. And so maybe, the Democrats may be able to get the House or the Senate back. Who knows? And then also this new president is going to probably end up putting 3 Supreme Court justices in office.
So you're saying we're caught between a rock and a hard place.
Absolutely.
There's no way we can win?
No way we can win, man. I mean, listen, I've heard a lot of rich people are moving to New Zealand. They're getting out of here.
Right. Rich white people.
Maybe it's something they know that we don't know.
You see, they can blend it when they go to New Zealand. They can blend with the Kiwis down there. But we'll stand out like a sore thumb. So even if you do have money, it'll be a lot different when you move to New Zealand. But so you don't think there's not a way out for us at all? You don't see that?
I think trying to have respect for each other, having faith. And just doing the best you can do, man. I mean, because you say? But you say do not vote for Trump. So you were saying that we should support Hillary and hold her feet to the fire. Why not support Trump and hold his feet to the fire? Yeah, because either way you're screwed. I mean, again, I'm looking at the people that's surrounding this guy. I mean, I'm from Alabama. Like, I can tell you so many stories about the stuff that Jeff Sessions is, guilty of, in that state. I mean, take Dothan, Alabama, for example. Mark will be on Wednesday. He'll probably talk about some of the stuff with the cops, but, that particular police department in Dothan, it was planting guns and drugs on black people. We had to close one of the women's prisons down there because the women were being sexually assaulted. It was Julia Tutwiler's prison. I mean, so it's a lot of stuff going on. And even our governor, who dropped his endorsement in Alabama of Trump, but he had his own sex scandal just recently, a couple months ago.
Right. Terry, did you have a question for Dick Gregory?
Yeah, I sure do.
All right, he's back with us. Go ahead.
I'm here.
Dick,
Yes, sir.
Dick, I met you in Atlanta. I met you at Uptown Comedy Club when you was there a couple of weeks ago. We took a picture together, and I told you, I was one of the last people you took a picture with, and I told you that I knew you from listening, and we spoke a couple times on Carl's show.
Yes.
Well, Dick, I just want to know what's your opinion, Dick, of all this stuff coming out with the emails, with the WikiLeaks about Hillary?
That ain't nothing but a game, man. Come on. That is nothing but a game. Huh? They tell us anything they want to tell us, okay? Let me just divert for a minute. Earlier last year, about 40,000 Mexican children was coming to this country every week. Let me tell you something. The KGB, who's trained to be spies, couldn't slip into this country if we didn't want them here. Well, y'all crazy? Huh? You talking about, you see, we so ignorant, sexism would believe that those many mothers, see, when you get thinking nasty about people, you don't care what you say. Let me say this here. You think those mothers in Mexico would send their children up to that border to sneak into this country, and Oscar's life didn't see 40,000 children coming across. Mothers said, forget about the snakes, forget about the weather, forget about all the pimps out there snatching children. We stupid enough to believe that. The Germans were stupid enough to believe that crap about the Jews and all of that. This is what this is about. Huh? We just get like, now we have nothing. Trump, and I don't know how long I'm on the plane we was cut off, but in case you didn't hear it, I'm going to say this again. All that crap about Trump was on the plane, and a woman said she was riding in the economy, and somebody moved her from economy to first class, and the president said, what airline, who moved you? Huh? She's sitting in first class. They moved her there. Trump put his hand under her dress, and she ain't going to sue the airline. She didn't just get up and go up there and then rebuy. You see, when you get as filthy as this country, then you just like the Nazis was before they failed. You believe anything. Anything somebody tell you, you believe it. Because all you want to hear now is gossip. They talking about Trump this. I said, well, wait a minute. Trump ain't doing nothing but acting like a good Christian. Do you realize in a week we celebrate Halloween, and the number one costume they sell for Halloween in America is a devil outfit, not a Jesus Christ outfit? They name schools after the devil. I went to a high school, from the high school, Red Devil, the Blue Devil. Y'all don't understand where this country's going because you don't hear the universe talking to you. You don't hear the universe saying, hey, it's over. So y'all play your games, but you better play them quick and you better play them fast because recess is over.
All right, hold that thought right there, Greg. Terry, I thank you for your call. We got to take another break, and then we'll take some more calls and speak to Dick Gregory. You two can join our conversation with him. Reach out to us, 800-450-7876. We'll take your calls next on 1450 WOL, where information is power.
And now back to the Carl Nelson Show
on Washington, D.C.'s 1450.
1450 WOL Radio.
And thanks for staying with us, folks. 800-450-7876. Dick Gregory's our guest, and later on we're going to speak with Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. But Greg, I got to ask you this, because Mark from Anaheim and Craig thinks there's a lot of other things going on in the world right now, and that all of this with Trump and Hillary is just a big distraction. Your thoughts?
It always has been, Carl.
You still there? Hopefully we haven't lost Greg. We probably dropped it because they talk about a distraction. I'll tell you what, we'll take some calls till we get back. Dick Gregory, 800-450-7876. If you guys agree with the conversation so far, let's go to line 3. Fahim's calling us from Atlanta. Fahim, your thoughts? Is Fahim with us on line 3? Okay, we've got all the lines are messed up. Okay, we have some issues with the phones. Everybody wants to get in. Let me try Wes then on line 4. All the lines are jacked up. He's got to get the engineer. All right, folks. Well, while he's doing that, let me tell you what's going on here. We're speaking with Dick Gregory, and all the lines just all of a sudden just got jacked up. It usually happens sometimes, not usually, but sometimes when we get an overload of phone calls, and it usually just affects our station, but sometimes the other stations in the building as well, because so many people are calling in. But here's the deal. What's going on here? We're talking with Dick Gregory, and we're talking about what's going on with Donald Trump. And somehow he's managed to take the focus off the fact that he was accused of allegedly fondling women all over the place. I think the last count was maybe 10 or 11 women have come forward. And the question is, what do they have to gain? They basically don't have anything to gain. But what that has done, given him, he's taken the focus off that to talk about the election is rigged. And here's the other side to that, saying that the election is rigged. A lot of people, a lot of his supporters, they're not going to accept the result. Whatever happens on November 8th, November 9th, the result, they're not going to accept it. Some of them have already said they're not going to accept it. And this civil strife that Mark from Anaheim and Craig Hewlett have been talking about may become a reality just because of that, just in case Hillary wins. And it seems like if the election were held today, she would win. Because the Electoral College, she's just got more votes than him, and he's got a long way to win. He's got to win several tough states before he can pull it off. So, and some people are saying that he was sent there or put there so that just so that he could be a fall guy for Hillary, because he really wants to get her in, because everybody knows that they've been friends before. Their families are still friends. The daughters are real good friends, and they have that friendship hasn't broken up. You've seen pictures with them before all of this. Craig Hewlett says it's just theater. So don't, some people said, it's different wings of the same bird, because either way, there's nothing in it for us. For Black America, what's in it for us? Either we win, or can we win with either one? Our first caller, Charles, says, we should show the Democrats, we should punish the Democrats, and withhold our vote. That's his thought. But our second caller, Terry in Ohio, says no, because he says he knows some of the people around Donald Trump, and they're on the mean side as far as life is concerned, and they just don't care for us. So it'd be a tough road to hoe. So either way, it seems like we're caught between a rock and a hard place. And tomorrow, Dr. Leonard Jeffries is going to try to help us out as well to figure out what we should do as Black folks, because we talked about this with Professor Smalls last week, whether you can be a conscious brother or sister and still vote. Can you be? And he says yes, and he says you should vote, especially if you're a conscious brother and sister. And he says if you're not feeling the top of the ticket, the down ticket. You've got to figure out who's out there representing you much closer than they are at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. You can do that. You should select those folks and who make those local decisions for you. So that's what he was saying. So I want to get your thoughts, though, especially my brothers and sisters who call themselves conscious. I know some of them in the 1 million group. They're trying to come together, and they have already asked both sides, both of the people at the top of their tickets, the Republican and the Democratic representatives, they had to meet with them, and they got a certain amount of requests. They have a platform, planks, if you will, that they're going to say, do this, and if you do this and do this, then we can guarantee you 1 million votes or more. And I know Dr. Claude Anderson has said the same thing. He says he'd negotiate with anyone. If you select them, he'll negotiate with them. All you got to do is tell him he'll go on behalf of Black men, and he doesn't want anything. He's not looking for anything, no favor, no money, and nothing. But he says we have got to come to the point where we say this is what we want. We want A, B, C, D. What can you give us? Can you commit to that? And part of the problem is that the folks who have their ears right now, they've not asked for anything. And this goes back to the 8 years that President Obama's been in office. He says, make me do it. Yeah, I think he says one time, make me do it. The other side, the other people who want stuff, who have gotten stuff, they've asked, they demanded, if you will. But our people, and I don't know whose fault it is. Maybe it's the people, his friends who he selects, who's got his ear. They're not asking for anything. Maybe that's why they're his friends. I don't know. That's just a supposition on my part. But the question is, nobody has really said, hey, Mr. President, we need this, we need that, and we need that. nobody's really asked him for anything. But now they're coming back and they're asking for our votes. They're asking for our support. As it stands right now, Hillary's not going to get as many black voters as Barack Obama got, but she doesn't need to get all of the votes that he got, black votes I'm speaking about right now, because she will make it up with Hispanics, and she'll make it up with especially with the women votes now. The female side of the electorate is going to go for her big time, but still Donald Trump has the male side of the votes, and he's got some women. Despite the disgusting things he said about women, they're all for him. It doesn't matter what he said; they're still going to support him. They're going to give him their support, which boggles the mind. Do they believe these women that came forward, or forget about the women who came forward? All the disgusting things that came out of his mouth, what he said himself. And they say, oh, they just chalk it up to, hey, that's locker room talk. The guys say that all the time. I know most of you saw the speech that. The First Lady gave, and it was a speech because it came from her heart. And they said she wrote it herself, and she's been working on this. And she, it was a great speech. It was delivered great. I mean, it was emotional, and she hit on all the right themes, and everybody's pointing that speech because I don't think there's anybody in the Democratic camp who can top that, because she connected with the audience. She connected with women across this country, and she just told them straight up, if that's the kind of man you're dealing with, he shouldn't be the one who's got he's next to the security codes for the nuclear power. And especially, Hillary Clinton talked about it a bit because she baited him and he fell for it and he started tweeting. And so what happens when Putin starts, or somebody else, or the guy in the Philippines, he's going for notoriety these days. What happens when he starts, as the British people would say, winding you up, because that's what he's basically doing. Can he respond? And I mentioned Putin a moment ago, because there's still the question of if there's any culpability between Putin and Trump. Trump says he doesn't believe that the WikiLeaks is part of the deal as well. But I'll tell you what, let's put that aside right now. Let's get a conversation with our boss. She's got her show that's being rebroadcast right here on WOL, where she started, and it's from noon to 2 all week today, and also I think from midnight to 2 at night as well. Miss Kathy Hughes, I should say welcome, or thank you for giving us WOL Radio.
Thank you for being on WOL. You still got Dick Gregory on the line with you?
Yeah, we're trying to find it. His call drop. Oh, yeah, he's there?
I'm on now.
Oh, Greg is here?
Hello, Dick. They re-airing our show. They're going to make our shows. They're going to make us famous. We might be able to get a job hosting a talk show on WOL one day.
Hey, I'm going to recommend Alfred send you a contract, because it was great today.
Wasn't that a good show today? And Dick,
yes. I
want you to know the monologue that they chose to open up with this series is 20 hours of our shows. The one they opened up with was me telling people, talking about you, me telling people to wash the inside of their bodies by drinking water.
Yes.
Yeah. And then tomorrow night on TV One at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 9 o'clock Central, Roland Martin is doing a one-on-one interview with me. And then Wednesday morning, starting at 8 a.m., TV One is doing a marathon of 8 of my old shows, starting off 8 hours actually starting off with Minister Farrakhan.
Well, you know what made your show so good
was you.
No, Washington, D.C. Anybody in the world or have a country was here. They came here. All your embassies, everybody was here. And they got to hear stuff they couldn't hear on NBC and CBS. And they knew a lot of it because they talking to their own intelligence. The French intelligence, the Irish intelligence, they talking, and the only thing they can hear that is when you and I was on the show. Huh?
Yeah.
We were talking about it.
But you know what makes me so proud is that Carl Nelson is carrying on that tradition.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, Carl.
I am so happy about that. So happy, Carl. You don't know how pleased I am when I listen to your show and to say to myself or sometimes say out loud, oh, Dick Gregory and I would have loved this topic. We would have loved this guest. We would have been all over this. So I really just am so thankful. And his numbers show it. Carl Nelson got better numbers than me and you had, Dick. I love it. Carl, you introduced me to Carl. I should have let Carl be my permanent guest.
I couldn't handle it. You guys, those shows are outstanding. I heard the one that I heard this morning, and then the pacing was great. I mean, it kept you engaged all along.
Yeah, they did.
It went real quick.
Yeah, didn't those 2 hours go quick?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Kathy. Let me tell you something.
Before you tell me something, you better tell me that why you haven't RSVP'd to my naming of the School of Communications this weekend. They don't have you down as being in attendance.
I'll tell you what, Greg, I'm going to help you out here. You can think for an excuse while we take this break. We got to check the traffic and the weather in the DMV. Folks, you can get in on this conversation a little bit later. Reach out to us, 800-450-7876. We'll take your calls after the traffic and weather together right here on 1450 WOL, where information is power.
Carl Nelson Show
on Washington, D.C.'s 1450.
1450 WOL Radio.
And thank you for staying with us, folks. Right now, we're speaking with the founder of Radio 1. It started right here on WOL Radio. On Sunday, actually, they're going to rename the School of Communications or name the School of Communications in their honor. It's going to be the Kathy Hughes School of Communications at Howard University. And before we left, you had a question for Dick Gregory. Greg.
Yes. I didn't know about it until just now. Kathy told me. I didn't know.
You didn't know.
Did you hear what I just said?
You better read your mail. You were the first invitation I sent.
Did you hear what I just said?
I heard you.
Did you hear what I just said?
You did not know.
So you better check your mail to make sure your mail gets through.
Wait, as soon as the government finishes reading it, they'll forward it to you. So I need you to be in the place on Sunday at Howard, on Howard's campus.
Yeah, as soon as I get off this train, I'm going to call Leo and tell her to find out where I am. And if I can be rerouted, I will. And if I don't have to need that, then you will see me. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
You know what? I'm one of the few people who know who you are. I mean, they knew the stuff. Let me tell you what I said to Carl before you got on. Kathy Hughes and I knew 8 years before anybody heard of a name Obama that would be the president. Remember that?
Oh, listen, they're re-airing that interview I did with him 8 years before, he became a U.S. Senator even, because we've got the marathon starting off at Louis Farrakhan. It's going to be Louis Farrakhan, then Taraji P. Hinton, and then Terrence Howard, and then Barack Obama when he didn't have, his national status. I was his first interview, and then Hillary Clinton, and you'll be able to compare 9 years ago what she had to say to what she's saying today.
Well, you remember, Kathy, one day we Friday. He's a genius of you that we never had to do notes. We never had to discuss what we were going to talk about. There's something in you, and you come right in. And I will never won't forget this Friday. I said, Kathy, do Princess Di owe you any money? Remember that?
Yep, you sure did.
You said, why? I said, because you better get it today because she'll probably be dead by the end of the week.
And you said because she's pregnant and they not going to let her live carrying no black baby. Okay?
That's right. And then what's the odds of that weekend we was together? We'd gone to a movie with a group of folks, remember? And we came out and people was looking strange. And I said, there's something going on. And that's when we found out together.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I'm just thankful that you now sharing all your wisdom and genius with Carl Nelson. Because, hey, did you notice Carl got real commercials? Me and you used to have PSAs.
Oh, yeah.
So, wait, I got to tell you this. So, Charlie, my grandson, who's 7, reads like he's in the 8th grade. So he's reading the press release saying that the School of Communications is going to be named the Kathy Hughes School of Communications, but then they put the, acronym, they put SOC. He looked up at me and he said, Grandma, they're going to put your name on a sock? I thought I would die laughing. I said, that's called an acronym, and SOC stands for School of Communications at Howard University. He said, I was worried about that, Grandma. So my 7-year-old grandson is telling people, they naming a sock after my grandmother.
I love it.
I love it too. Carl, keep plugging it for me if you would. Okay, I appreciate it very much. Dick, I'm getting ready to call Lillian because you busy being on Carl's show and find out what's going on your Sunday schedule, okay?
Do you know what time it is on Sunday?
1 o'clock, 1 p.m. Okay. 1 p.m. at the Blackburn Center on the campus of Howard University.
All right. If you got a second, Pie Man says he's a friend of both you. A fellow by the name of Pie Man. Are you familiar?
Yeah, of course I know the Pie Man.
Pie Man. Pie Man, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here, Brother Carl.
Yes, you are with Miss Hughes and Dick Gregory.
Hey, peace, brother. How you doing? Thank you, Carl. How you doing, Miss Hughes?
I'm doing good, Pie Man. Where are my pies?
I'm waiting, Miss Hughes. I got you a special pie. You know this Brother Carl Bellis, right?
I'm sorry, you beeped out. I didn't hear what you said.
This is Brother Carl Bellis.
Yes, no, I know who it is. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, Miss Hughes. In here making pies as we speak. I was trying to make you something special and get it up there to you, but I don't know how to get it to you.
I don't know why you don't. People say that. How could you not know where I am? It's Radio 1. There's a big sign right on top of the building on Georgia Avenue. I ain't going nowhere.
Yes, ma'am. I've been up there several times. I've dropped a lot of pies off up there, and you've never gotten one.
I sure haven't. So you have to call me and let me know when you coming. But I still return all my calls, so just call my office and bring me my pies, and don't use no excuses that somebody else got my pies, okay?
And peace to you, Baba Gregory. I will do that this week, Miss Hughes. Thank you. I'm going to put them in the oven this evening, okay?
Okay, love you. Thank you so much.
Love you too, sister. Thank you.
All right,
peace,
Pie Man.
Love you too, brother. Love you very much, brother.
All right, Pie Man. Thank you. You know what's...
Carl, when me and Dick would be on and he and I do a little sidebar and talk about whatever, okay, people would afterwards say, well, we love it when you and Dick talk, just go back and forth in general conversation, but could you all do that when you're not on the air? Because we need for Mr. Gregory to be telling us information when he's right? So I'm going to let you all go before you get a complaint that we were cutting up too much on your show, and let Mr. Gregory continue to spread wisdom and genius. But I just want to say to you and Dick, thank you, thank you, thank you. There's nothing that I love better than strong, brilliant black men, and I've got 2 of them on the line with me right now, and I'm so appreciative.
Thank you. We'll be listening again at 10 o'clock, noon tomorrow, and midnight tonight till 2.
Right, noon to 2 p.m. and then midnight to 2 a.m., and they're going to be different shows. That's the reason they're going to run all this week and all next week. So help us spread the word, please, okay?
Oh, we'll do that.
Kathy,
yes.
Before you leave, can I say something?
Yes.
Remember one day we were just kicking back talking, and I said, y'all out there, if you want to launder some drug money, here's the number you call. You remember that?
Hey, the bank. Okay. Wait, no, do you remember the day that I got the official registered, delivered by CIA agents to me, telling me to cease and desist, telling my audience the lie about how the government had the information that we had shared about them being able to start and stop automobiles, and the Secretary of Transportation said that they would file a complaint on me and you with the FCC. Okay, all right. Dick used to keep me in trouble, Carl.
Oh, wow.
I did.
But
I
guess
did.
what?
Yes.
Guess what? He took the mute button off of information for black folks, okay? Because they got so tired of writing me and Dick up, they just threw in the towel and said, hey, Lee Atwater and everybody else came around to our way of thinking before it was all over.
Yes,
And you know,
yes.
so many people who listened to you guys back then, they're still listening today. I get that all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The WOL family, the most loyal. I mean, I would not be Radio 1 would not exist were it not for the girls, the soldiers. I mean, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, it broke my heart to lose her. And I understand, Dick, you saw her the night before we lost her at the drugstore. You know,
yes.
yeah, okay, you know, people come in my house and they say, you only have black art. I said, because Dr. Frances Cress Welsing told me that it changes your consciousness if you have only black art, and that you should put it in your baby's nursery. Ain't had no babies lately, but it's all over my house. I mean, so many life-changing, transformational events took place because of 1450 AM, and all I can say is thank you, Lord, thank you, Lord, thank you, Lord, because this is the foundation on which our entire company rests.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you, because we know you're busy and we kept you too long, but thank you.
No, that's okay. Thank you. God bless.
And thank you for giving us WOL.
Right, and before we hang up, please give Ryan my best regards. He's been keeping me up with his thesis project, and you got a superstar on the rise, okay? Hugs to Linda, but congratulations to Ryan. Such an impressive young man. You and Linda have done an exemplary job of having his head on right, and his commitment to his community is just exemplary. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Talk to both of you again soon. Dick, I don't care what you doing on Sunday. If you speak, and just bring everybody from the speech, okay? Because you got to be there with me on Sunday. Love you.
Thank
you,
dear.
Lucy.
Bless you. Bless you.
All right, Greg, you heard that. You got to be there Sunday.
Yeah, well, hey, you know, first I got to find out how come I'm not aware of it. Anytime anybody knows, don't never send nothing to me, send it to Liz. If you call me and say, can you go on the show in 5 minutes? And I tell you, yep, but call Lil, right?
Right.
Call Lil. And that's why I can function the way I function, because I don't have to worry about a thing. Because if she said, she will call me 10 times in 5 minutes. Don't forget calls. Don't forget, everything happened today. Every system's going out and everything. And she had to put me from one train to another. And before she would say, it got to, now don't forget, you got to call in to call. And then just to see, one of the things that most folks don't understand, having a show in Washington, D.C., and giving people a voice in Washington, D.C., it was like in the days of the Roman Empire, having a show in Rome. The mightiest empire at that time in the history of the planet. And you were there. And this is what happens here with this show. I mean, people here from all over the world, they listen to the show. They couldn't call in because you got some embassies. I bet they'd be fine if they knew they were listening to this show. And finding out all the information they're gonna find out. And so again,
hang on a second, Greg, before you go, because Fahim has been holding for a while. I think he's got a question for you. He's calling from Atlanta.
Okay.
Fahim, you have a question for Dick Gregory?
Yeah, I do. Thank you for answering my call. Before I ask you the question, I'd like to congratulate Kathy Hughes for this platform, and I'd like to congratulate it and say happy birthday to Mr. Dick Gregory as well, and yourself for this platform and this information that you provide for us every day. First, I'd like to make a comment about this election, and then ask a question. My comment is this: I think the interest that Donald Trump has in this election or becoming the president he arrived at after noticing how Bill and Hillary made their money through backroom deals and through deals with foreign government. And I think they used him to plow the field because the other candidate, the Republican candidates, they were more prepared. And they.
I tell you what, hang on a second, Fahim. We got to take a break. We're rolling close to the top of the hour. I'll let you finish your comment and your question. Greg, stay with us. Hopefully we won't lose you on the train. 800-450-7876. Keep that number handy. You're going to need it. Take your calls next as the big show rolls on from the capital city on 1450 WOL, where information is power.
Welcome to the Carl Nelson Show
on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio and live around the world on WOLDCnews.com.
And thanks for staying with us, folks. Speaking with Dick Gregory. Later, we're going to be talking with Fred Hampton Jr., Chairman Fred. We're going to talk about the Black Panthers. This is the 50th anniversary of the founding of the Black Panther Party. We got a lot of stuff going on in Chicago we're going to talk about with Fred Hampton Jr. But right now, let's go back to Fahim. He's got a question and a comment for Dick Gregory. Fahim? Is Fahim still with us on line one?
I'm here.
Great.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Fahim.
Yeah. To finish my comment, then I'll ask you a question. Donald Trump, in my opinion, his motivation for seeking the White House, he has the attitude of a gangster, and being in the White House would make him the mob boss. And the deals that he can make because he watched the Clintons amass wealth from seeking that office as well. I think the Clintons used him to plow the field because the other GOP candidates were more intelligent, although they all share the same opinion of slowing down the progress of non-white and this United States. Donald Trump could plow the field and got them out of the way. So I think that they perhaps were more dangerous than he is. Donald Trump shows that he doesn't have the basic knowledge of even how the system works. He didn't know what day the election was held on. He sends poll watchers to the polls.
Right. Fahim, do us a favor. Put it on the fast track.
Okay, here's the question.
Here's the question.
The question is this. They say Hillary's server was top secret. But why are they calling for top secret information to be leaked to the public? And then why is it that Donald Trump can ask in public for a foreign nation to tap into her emails, and he shares the same goals and the same ideology as a foreign government that is adversarial to ours, and there's nothing. How does he get away with that?
All right,
that's my question.
All right, good question, Fahim. Greg, how does he get away with that? Because obviously,
you see what it is. Y'all keep answering it, but you don't listen to the real voice. He's not getting away with it unless they wanted him. Let me just change and then come right back. One of the biggest things that ever happened in the history of banking happened a month ago.
Hopefully we haven't lost Greg.
No, I got it. I'm here.
Okay.
Happened last month ago. Now, can you all forget that? Well, you all stupid enough to believe that over 5,000 tellers at Wells Fargo was opening up accounts in other people's names. Can y'all be that stupid to believe that them poor folk at the bottom of the totem pole
and their supervisors didn't know that they were doing it? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that, you know, that there's a whole lot of people that work someplace. You can't get 5,000 of them to commit a crime for you.
Right.
And then the government haven't charged none of them. The guy who ran it, y'all stupid enough to believe he quit. Oh, that's a game. And he got so much money to step down. But y'all don't understand that. But that's, I guess, I always wondered what it was like when the end of great nations came. All you got to do is look at what's happening now. And there's a handful of people that put you on. See, when you dog people out, when you dog people out like America have, it ain't about God, it's about gossip. And the more they can make it sound like gossip, the more you tap in. And I'm going to say this again. At the end of this month, it's Halloween, and the number one outfit that's sold is a devil outfit, not a Jesus outfit. Did you hear me? And it just didn't start. We teach our children, we name schools after the devil, the Duke University Blue Devils and all of that. You got high schools, the Sumner High School Red Devils. And y'all don't see this here, and you walk around, and when I look at Trump, what he's talking about, I heard that before that sucker came through. All you got to do is open up your Christian Bible and read King David, not Hustler magazine. Read about King David, which was a slave in Egypt, and then he got set free, and he ends up being king of a mighty nation. And he looked out the window and saw this woman naked and sent for her. Are y'all crazy? Sent for her, had her, got her pregnant. She said, oh, well, how will I explain this to my husband? I said, oh, we can handle this. So they sent for his husband, her husband who was on the front line, brought him back so he could have sex with her and be blamed for. This is in the Bible, y'all. Now, you play the game if you want to. Now, watch this now. When King David found out that he wouldn't have pleasure with her while his men was on the front line of battle fighting for King James, and then King James sent out the word to kill him. Okay? Kill him. These are games you're playing. Huh? And it's so bad that you believe it. So you get a Trump come through, and he's doing what these Christians been doing. I know because I've been a Christian all my life. I had no choice. I listened to all the stuff that go down. Y'all know the stuff that go down. You black folks sit there and knew the gays and the Baptist church, and then act like you surprised to hear about that. You love them, huh? And so again, I'm saying this must be what it was like right before the Romans fell, right before the Egyptians fell. And finally, I said it here, when they had the West Nile virus. And then the question nobody seemed to ask, well, how did we get here? Oh, that mosquito. Oh, yeah, the airplane. And then you look up. I knew it, but I looked up and went, Egypt don't have a plane that flies from Egypt to America nonstop. How that mosquito know not to get off at the first stop? This is where you all are. And this is where you're going to see coming this election. And I don't know if the train has hit one of them bumps, but I'm going to say it again to the brother in Atlanta. All that mess last week about the airplane. Let me tell you, and I'm saying it because I don't know if y'all heard me. The train was into that thing. But here's a man that's riding first class. Here's a woman that's on economy. Somebody brought her from. Carl, can you hear me?
Sure, we're listening.
Okay, somebody brought her from economy to first class and just happened to sit her next to Trump. We haven't heard nobody say what airline it was, huh? We haven't heard nobody say how illegal that is. It wasn't. Who had the authority to bring you from a cheap seat to the expensive seat, and then some man stick his hand under your dress And nobody talks about suing the airline. Forget about Trump. That happened on the airline. I just bought me a ticket, minding my business, and somebody moved me up front and sit me next to a man that will put his hand under my breast. And nobody talks about the way we like to sue people. Nobody talks about what airline it happened, how many times do it happen, how many times did that same thing happen. And I'm saying, but we so busy for the gossip part. We so busy listening to it, nobody wants to ask serious questions. You ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till you see before these next 2 weeks is out. If you think you've seen something, now, first, all of us been around dumb folks. You've never been around somebody that's as dumb as they tell us he is. And they keep telling us about all the business interests he has been in and all of that. And then y'all still want to believe, the boy should be in a mental hospital. That's where he should be. But y'all taking him like he's normal. He says the same thing over and over. He'll talk about race. He'll talk about women. He say the same thing over and over. And you listen to this stuff of him, and none of y'all put together he gay? How many gay men hate women? Hate them? He haven't blasted gays yet. And y'all sit around and play your game. There's a whole lot of men.
I tell you what, hang on a second, Greg. We got to check the traffic one more time, and then we got some folks across the pond who want to speak to you. 800-450-7876. You too can join the conversation with Dick Gregory. Chairman Fred's coming up later as well, right here on 1450 WOL, where information is power.
From 6 to 10 a.m. on 1450 WOL.
Thanks for staying with us, folks. We're on here from 4 until 7. We're speaking with Dick Gregory. Number to call, speak to Greg, 800-450-7876. And momentarily, we're going to be speaking with Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. Paul is calling us from London on line 1. Paul, you're on with Dick Gregory. You have a question for Dick Gregory?
Yeah, good afternoon, Carl, and good afternoon to you guys. And good afternoon, Mr. Gregory.
My brother. Thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. I've got two questions. On the last time when I heard you on the Carl Nelson show, you made reference to Queen Mother Moore, and basically you referred to her as a bed wench and working or cooperating with the CIA to undermine Marcus Garvey. I'd like you to elaborate on that if you can. And secondly, we often hear presidents talk about, especially English prime ministers and American presidents talk about the special relationship. What is your understanding of this special relationship? I'll take us offline. Thank you very much.
Well, you can't really get involved with special relationships if you don't factor in white supremacy. I mean, you think there's one country that's white supremacy? All of them join in and do the same thing. And that's what it's about. They cover up one another's lives. They cover up one another's wars. And why you think in Africa, any country over there in Africa that don't have no natural resources, there ain't no fighting going on. They over there stealing. And let me tell you this here. The number one richest country in the world is North Korea. Now, am I stupid enough to believe I know this, and France and Britain and the United States don't know it? I'm going to say it again. And we listen to these lies that, they starving to death in North Korea. You ain't never seen no skinny children, huh? I'm going to say this again. Tungsten, 90% to 98%, of all the tungsten in the world comes out of Korea, okay? And you couldn't be in a missile race. You couldn't have a radar system, nothing. And all it wants is just like black folks find out one day that nappy hair cure cancer and everything changes. Okay, now am I stupid enough to believe my ego, my craziness don't permit me to think I know this and the rest of them don't know it? This is a game they play. And thank God, I don't know why the universe cut me in on it, huh? But I'm cut in on it. And let me just say something else to you, brother. My integrity, I wouldn't lie on a black person in civil rights if it wasn't true. Now, you handle that any way you want to handle it, okay? Any way you want to handle it, you handle it, okay? Thank you.
All right. 800-450-7876. Jackie on line 2 is calling from Missouri. Jackie, on with Dick Gregory.
But before we do this, I listened to your show when we was talking about Marcus Garvey.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you talk about it all the time. But why this president, hadn't granted him a pardon? I wouldn't either. And I love Marcus Garvey. Y'all had 2 years to bring enough signatures, and in 2 years, all you could get was 25,000 signatures, and you tell me you love him? Huh? You tell me you love him, and you're going to blame somebody else? Y'all can't get the greatest this man was and is. You did him a disservice to have 2 years to bring up 200,000 signatures, and you couldn't get 25,000? And you sit around telling them wolf tickets for how much you loved him and what a great man he was. I don't believe that great in your eyesight if you couldn't get them. And that's all because I heard the show call, and I didn't have time to call in.
But
okay,
you know what, Greg?
The lady, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, 2 years, they had 8 years since Obama got in. They should have been on the money then. They were he's about to get out the door and then start a movement, and you run out of time.
Well, first, there's never been nobody in the history of this planet that raised as much money as Brother Marcus Garvey, and the white folks know it. Off the stock market, nobody's raised that type of money in America that wasn't doing it on the stock market. And the reason they didn't kill him, because the amount of money that people would bring him at his rallies, they knew they would be in serious trouble. And so they let him out of jail on one condition. He would leave the country. And he said, on another condition, I got to speak to the black folks before I leave. And they set up a meeting for him to speak in New Orleans. And black folks came from all over the country. And they brought change. And when they got through with that, he had almost $8 million cash that they brought him. That's who he is, okay? And we do him a disservice when y'all talk that yacht talk. And then when it come time to pay off, now you're going to blame the president. I don't have no problem with you blaming the president. You didn't live up to yours. You didn't live up to yours. And y'all can get on these shows and talk about who he was.
You still there, Greg? I think I may have lost him. As I mentioned, he's on the train from Philly from New York to D.C. 800-450-7876. We'll keep taking your calls. And later on, we're going to speak with Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. Let's speak. Are we here, Fred? Fred.
Hello?
Yeah, welcome back to WOL Radio.
Oh, thank you for having me back.
And interesting conversation we were having with Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory's in that movie called Panther. Did you see that movie?
Yes, I did. Yep. Yes, I did.
How was it?
That's the movie. I've seen Panther. Actually, now, a few years back, I had some issues with some of the. It didn't emphasize or points like the emphasis that the party had about the political education.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I do take into account that it's a mainstream movie, so
right.
Sometimes you gotta work with. Yeah, so overall, it was okay. And keep in mind too, I was in prison when I seen the movie, but I did overall I liked it. But I did have some issues about emphasis about not acknowledging about the emphasis that the party had about the political education.
Let me ask you this, Fred, because this is the 50th anniversary of the founding of the Black Panther Party. Had the Panther Party been around today and at when it started, not when it disintegrated, but when it started before the COINTELPRO, what do you think they'll be doing today?
That's a tough call to call, brother. Because you got to keep, there's so many dynamics, that we that try to take into account that, our minds can't even fathom, as you mentioned about, the impact of the COINTELPRO that they had. That's a tough call to make, but I know that, and I know and I respect one of the things about the party was that it was able to be ever developing, to keep its ear to the ground on different phenomena that was happening in the community, and to see how to, assess and address it, whether it be the dynamic of electoral politics or even the dynamic about the gun. It wasn't an absolute, the gun, the uniforms, studying the people, seeing what, where the people at and what can be done and put in context as revolutionary leaps and bounds for that particular stage of time. We keep in mind, like even right now, the stage we went through a test after the military defeated the Black Panther Party, intensification of neo-colonialism. That's something that we had to deal with. We still struggling with that, different places and different cities with Negroes, black faces, put in place in the White House and the White House also. But there's still white power. So these are different dynamics that the Black Panther Party, whatever had to deal with. So it's a tough call to see, where it would be at. And we say with the Black Panther Party could, it's a tough act to follow. We try our best.
All right, I tell you what, Fred, because we got Dick Gregory with us. Greg, we've got Fred Hampton Jr. Of course, you know.
Right on.
Greg, you still there?
I'm still here, yes.
Yeah, we got Fred Hampton Jr. with us. I'm going to let you finish up what you were saying, and then maybe you want to talk to Fred.
Okay, well, no, I'm just what Kathy Hughes said. One of the most powerful human beings on the planet, one of the most brilliant, one of the most religious. And when she can stop and say to you, thank you, and who you are, and what that show is doing, that man, and those of us that know you, we knew you before you got here. We knew you. Some of them knew you in New York. I did. We knew you in L.A. And people would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, man, to hear your show, and then go back to sleep, then get up and go to work. And so again, I just say thank you, and then the respect you have for the people that come on, even when you know some of them ain't nothing but a crock of doo-doo. But you listen, you let them have their day, you let them have their time, because you got so many people out there that know what's going on, and they just love to sit and hear what's going on and hear the dialogue between, the people that know. But Kathy's always had that. Me and Kathy single-handedly with Mark Lane stopped the killings of the black children in Atlanta. We had so much evidence and so much stuff, but who went over?
All right, Greg, we're gonna let you go because we're losing you on the train. But thank you for calling in. We're gonna ride the rest of the way with Fred Hampton Jr.
Respect. Love and respect to you, brother Dick Gregory. Love and respect to you. I last saw you in Alabama, man. The anniversary for in Selma. I just want to say love and respect to you, brother. It's good to be on the line with you also.
He's gone. We lost him, Fred. Fred Hampton Jr. is our guest, folks. Some of you know Fred Hampton Jr. We'll tell you his story next on 1450 WOL, where information is power.